Carol, would you mind coming to the podium? We have a question for you.
Yes.
We do not believe we have a quorum.
We do now.
Oh, we do now. Never mind, Carol. No question. Now we do have a quorum.
Let's ask the question.
Well, the question, Carol, we were going to ask, we have never had it before us before where we did not have a quorum of this group. And the question was, in the subcommittees, we go ahead with presentations and we do other things. And we can do that here? Okay. I understand. Thank you, Carol. All right. Well, then, it's the appointed hour. Let's call the meeting to order. Do you agree with me, Carol, that we do have a quorum now? All right. You've been furnished with copies of the minutes of the September 28th meeting. Are there additions or corrections?
Move approval.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the minutes. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The minutes are approved. David, the revenue and expenditure report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have in your packet the MAPS 3 revenue and expenditures report for the period ending September 30th, 2017. On the revenue side for the month, we have $9,032,074. Fiscal year, $28,071,367, and total program revenue to September 30th of $775,179,761. On the expenditures side for the month, we have $9,599,399. Fiscal year of $18,351,412, and total program expenditures as of September 30th of $335,069,737. You also have the budget and obligations report for the period ending October 1st, 2017. I can answer any questions you might have about any of these.
No, I have no comment.
I might add that we continue to be 3.8% above target.
David, make sure I'm understanding this. The total revenue we have received is $775 million.
Yes, sir.
And our target, the projected target, was $777 million. So we're
Sales tax.
This includes the interest. All right. $15 million of interest.
That's
and we
correct.
have how many months? So we'll have October, November, December. 3 more months of collecting the tax and the interest.
Remembering that this lags about a month behind, so we will still see, on paper, collections into the first part of next year, into January.
Well, that all sounds encouraging.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Shall we receive the report? It's been moved and seconded that we receive the report as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The report is received. David, we have a presentation about the convention center today.
Yes, sir. We continue with design on the convention center and very close to wrapping this up, and wanted to bring an update to this board before we bring you final plans. So Kevin Cook from Populous is here to give you an update on the convention center design.
Hi, Kevin.
Good morning, everyone. Again, thanks for having us always. Hopefully we don't completely bore some of you that have seen this presentation a few times, but again, we're wanting to, the goal today is we're getting really close to wrapping up final plans, and so we wanted to just share an update with you all one last time, hopefully, before we come back for the official final plans presentation here at the end of the year, hopefully. So I'm just going to go through this. Again, please stop me if there's a question as we go through, but let's get going. So we presented to our subcommittee on Tuesday, gave them the same update. As always, these are our design principles that we fully integrate into our project, and we keep check of these as we move forward, and none of these have changed. Some of you, all of you have probably seen these. So quick update on the project. We issued 95% permit review drawings to the city at the end of August. At that time, or they're still out there right now for review, but they're really close. The city's pretty much issued all of their comments to us. ADG did a separate review for this project. They got a very extensive list of comments. We've reviewed those with them and have picked up almost all of them and are still incorporating a few more. So those will be implemented in the last percentage of the documents when we're ready to issue. At the same time, a couple weeks ago, we received our 95% cost estimate from our cost estimator, RLB, and we'll go through a little bit of that here at the end of this presentation to give you guys an update on where that stands. Last Thursday, we presented to the Downtown Design Review Committee and presented the project to them with successful approval on everything. There was a few conditional approvals that we needed to go back to and review, a few minor items that we can then resubmit just to the staff to get final approval on that. A few of the items in that meeting will require us to go to the Board of Adjustment for variances. Basically some of the signage, our loading dock screen walls taller than the downtown regulations allow, and the setback of the building. Again, these are all items that were given strong support and approval from the DDRC, so we don't expect any issues. These are things with such a unique building or large building that they felt was good moves to make for our project. We've also been coordinating with the new Omni Hotel team and their architects, working on the pedestrian bridge that crosses from our building over to their building. The one thing I would say is the hotel team is definitely much earlier in their design process than we are, so there's some catching up to do, and we're doing our best to coordinate with them, knowing that they're kind of in early concept or schematic design drawings, and we're really close to being complete with our drawings. Site demolition out at the site, my understanding is it's pretty much all clear. Everything's been cleaned and removed. Everything's good, and so the site should be ready to go when we're ready to go. We continue to keep public art coordination on our list here, because we do that every couple months. We sit down and go through that and the art process that this project will take. And then Robinson Street coordination is an ongoing thing that we're kind of watching from, taking a step back, but we're watching from afar and keeping an eye on what's going on there. We're coordinating with the park, the hotel, and the group that's working on Robinson Street in general with the roundabout and other things. So building layout, the same as it's always been, presented to all of you. Exhibit hall on the ground level, meeting rooms on level 2 meeting room, mezzanine, and also up on the 3rd floor where the ballroom is located. Again, I'm going to show you this earth to sky and core to shore diagram because we're going to refer to it when we start looking at some of the interior renderings here in a few minutes. And then the form of the building. These are, again, some of the earlier sketches, just reminding you of kind of where we were many months ago and how we've gotten to where we are today. And then I've got some reference plans in here, black and white plans, more for your printed packet than really to present these, but just showing you on the site plan, again, to remind you of some of the alternates on the site. So everything that's shaded gray, the parking lot, 6th Street, the extension of Broadway from 6th to 7th, and then the enhancements to 4th Street there on the north side of our building. Those are all site alternates for our project. So there were things that weren't originally in our scope of work, but things we're hoping maybe if bids come in favorably we can get to do. And we're documenting them. So I'm going to click through these plans. If we need to refer to these, we can come back on anything if there's any questions on these guys. So exterior views. I think you've seen these updated renderings. We did these in the summer, I think, and I'm not quite sure when the last time we were in front of you, but again, the main ballroom space with the large canopy and materials, and we've gone ahead on some of these slides. We presented these to the DDRC and showed some of these materials off to the side, so we actually have samples today that I can hold up on some of these items and point them out. So if you look at the top, you see the formed metal panel. That's this type of metal sample, and again, we can pass these around or look at them if we want to. The terracotta rain screen, this is a sample of the terracotta material, and it's a thick, durable material. This is the color we've chosen, and then you can see in the back it sits on a framing system, and that allows you to pull off each piece one at a time should something happen or you need to access something. And then you can see the insulated metal panel system. This is up there, up on the balcony, the soffit and stuff. And this has a unique finish to it where it color changes depending on the angle of the light and stuff that you see on it. I really like that product. And then I don't have a sample of the precast concrete, but you can see that in the view, the two kind of wedges up there on each side of the ballroom. As we go to this view, a new material shown here is the composite wood panel. This was a piece that the DDRC group wanted to know a little bit more about. We talked about its durability and how it can be cleaned, but the one point we made was that this is actually all up above the grade, so it's soffits and walls from level 2 and above, so really no one should ever really be touching this. Looking at it from the south here towards the north, you see the southern end of the meeting rooms. We do have a little bit of plaster on this side, which I have some sample material I'll show on the next slide. And then you see our perforated metal screen, which goes on the stair enclosures. And it also goes here on the east side of the building, which covers our loading dock. So here's a sample of that material. This was one of the items that DDRC asked us to go back and look at a little closer. There was concern about how much you could really see through this pattern, and this is a 40% openness, so we're going to go back and look at some more tighter patterning and have it be more opaque to let less visibility through it. And then one thing to point out on the plaster, on the north and south facades, we're using two different textures of the plaster. So it's the same color, but with a different texture. You'll get some different, depth and shadow lines to it, and there's unique patterns on the north and south side with this stuff. So again, just a couple quick views of from different angles from the park, looking north along Robinson Street here near the parking lot, and the aerial that I'm sure you've all seen and we've discussed shows potential future development around our site. And then the view from the ballroom balcony area. So then we're going to jump into the interior views. I'm going to switch some of these out here real quick. Randy's going to help hold stuff for me here. So these are new renderings. We hadn't shown these to our subcommittee until Tuesday. The last time we presented interior renderings was during preliminary report in DD level of our drawings, and we've taken those renderings and updated them with the latest finishes and colors and materials. So what you see here in the renderings, want to make sure you're noticing that it's not just the look of the space, but any furniture you see, any light fixtures that hang down or are over seating areas and things, those are the actual items we've specified or selected at this point. Obviously, with an open bid job, things could change, 2 or 3 bids in or 2 or 3 products for each specification, so it's still open. So what you see here, this is the main entry. When you go in looking north, you'll see there's the terrazzo material on the floor. We really only have the terrazzo at kind of the main entry atriums and the entry space, and then at the top of each elevator and escalator landing. But then the rest of the pre-function is carpet. So this is a version of the carpet that we're seeing. The carpet changes, the pattern itself is the same, but it changes colors as you go up throughout the building. You also see on this drawing to the left underneath the escalator, you see a concrete tile. This is that tile material. This is going to be, they're longer pieces than this, and they'll be stacked in kind of a board form fashion. And then, be careful so I don't drop something here. The wood that you start to see as kind of an accent material around some of the furniture, and you'll see it around some of the other meeting room spaces, is this wood, and gives some extra warmth and color to this lower space. Earlier in the one slide, we talked about earth to sky and quarter store. So the exhibit hall level has been always our earth palette, and then as you go up the building, you hit the horizon palette, and then you hit sky when you get up to the ballroom level. And you'll see that change in the colors and the materials. So again, looking south at the meeting rooms on the exhibit hall level, you see this wood again. You start to see the same carpet. You see just a little bit of the terrazzo along the curtain wall glass there. As you move up to the atrium space, you can see how open and how much light really is going to spill into this area. Really excited about this, and how the materials start to transition from darker at the bottom and kind of carry up to the ballroom level. This is towards the southern atrium. You start to get a glimpse of a open meeting space to the left-hand side of the image. You see some of the lights and seating starting to show up there. And then this would be a view coming in at this level. You see the wood off to the right. That's the meeting rooms at level 2. And that uses a wood like this along the entry spaces. And then to the left, we've got these little seating areas, or lounges we've been calling them. And this is an example of some of the fabric that would be on the fabric panels in that seating area. This view is actually as if you were just coming off the hotel bridge into the building. So this is your view that you would get. And you notice as you look down, if you were a first-time hotel guest coming to the convention center, you have a clear shot of where the circulation is, the 2 escalators to either go down and register for an event at the exhibit hall, or maybe you're going to an event in the ballroom and you knew you're going there, you can go straight up to the ballroom. This is that exact same area, but kind of at the other end near the escalators. You're looking back towards the meeting room spaces. Again, you're seeing an entrance into the bridge in the far distance in this view. Again, looking at signage on the walls over the meeting spaces, how the rooms are numbered, that kind of stuff. This is all how it's been currently designed. This is at the south end. You see that open meeting space that I referred to before. You start to see the different types of furniture and built-in tables and other things that work around this space. There's another view of that area. This will be a pretty active space up on the level 2 area. And then as you get up to the ballroom, the finishes get much lighter and a lot more elegant as you go up. So you start to see the wall coverings are different fabrics and wall coverings. So this one is kind of a glittery, shimmery look. Again, helping relate to the sky colors that we're doing. You see the perforated metal ceiling. This is a sample of that ceiling, and the patterning is quite more extensive than just this little piece. The panels are, I think, 2x4 or 2x6 in size. And it's not necessarily white. I think it's more of a silvery panel, but this is what you'd start to see in the ceiling space. And then you start to see other fabrics wrapped around, like the doors, other wall coverings. Again, that carpet now is what's shown as you get up to the ballroom level. This carpet would carry from the pre-function into the ballroom space. And as you can see in this view, that's with the ballroom entrance closed. And then that's with the doors slid apart, and you get the ability to open up the ballroom space into the pre-function here. And then when you're inside the ballroom, this is again with the doors and the curtain wall there, you start to get those views out to the sky, leading you out to the balcony. This is a view of the junior ballroom, and we have pretty much the same finishes. It has this same ceiling used in it in a little bit different way than the ballroom has it. You start to see fabric on the walls for the acoustic panels to help with the sound inside the space, and then the big glass windows out to the side. This is a view inside the meeting room. Again, finishes are very similar to what we've already held up from the other spaces. There's acoustic panels with a fabric similar to this on the walls. The yellow that you see along there is another fabric, but you'll see on the opposite side we have some back-painted glass that lets marker board capabilities in the rooms. All these rooms, again, are fully shaded abilities to be blackout if needed. The ceilings are acoustical tile ceilings for sound quality. And then that's that same space looking back. And remember, some of these rooms are more divisible than others, so this is a single room that in some levels as you go up, some of the walls can move and be open so you can get a bigger space or double the size of these rooms. You start to see the wood plank I'll go back to from what we were showing from the outside. The other plank, the bigger one, yeah. So you Start to see some of the wood finishes in these rooms on the inside. There's countertops in the back there. And then, so we're back at the main entries of each space. This would be the exhibit hall entry at the lower level. You start to see a darker tile wrapped around these entries. This would be a smaller piece. This is the large format tile. These are actually 4 by 8 pieces of tile. So think of a full sheet of plywood. That's one piece of tile. And you see some of the signage and identification as you get into these spaces. Again, this is the meeting rooms at that level, at the exhibit hall level, still using the tile. The wood we talked about as you get up the next level for the meeting room spaces. And then when you get up to the ballroom, you've got more of the shimmery wall coverings in the lighter colors. Okay, so cost estimate. A couple things have happened since our cost estimate was completed at 95%. So we're going to walk through these with you kind of in a quick general sense here. But the project budget is the $194 million that's shown at the top. And our current cost estimate at 95% was just under that, as you can see, at $193.5. Now that includes contingency, escalation, and estimating contingency. So there's roughly around $15 or $16 million of contingency built into that 193 number. So we're very comfortable that what we have right now from our latest cost estimators has enough extra ability in it to absorb, we're hoping, some of these alternates should bids come in favorably. So what we've done here is we have a list of 8 different alternates. We've got 4 that are building specific and then 4 that we showed on a previous slide that are site specific. And there's values associated with all of these here. And I'll walk through each one. But again, the number up there currently with all the contingency included doesn't include these alternates at this time, but we hope that we can get a lot of those included when we go out to bid and get our bids back. So the first item is the exhibit hall partitions. We basically have said on base bid, you'll be able to divide the exhibit hall into 2 right down the middle. The alternate allows 2 more sets of wall panels to help divide the space into 4 rooms instead of just 2. And there's 2 separate costs associated with each panel. Now what's interesting or good about this alternate is all the steel, all the track, all the closet space, all of that's going to be built on day 1. It's just buying the door to fit into the frame, basically. So once we buy the panels or have the money, we can just purchase the panels and they can be installed. There's no demolition or redo or anything that has to happen besides just putting them in place. The second alternate we looked at was the vertical shade fins on the exterior. This is an aesthetic thing that we really like that does some performance help for the building when the rooms aren't being used. Again, these are attached to the existing mullions that are holding the curtain wall system up. These items can be added at any time. The connections will be there. It's just a kind of a plug-and-play or a snap-in-place type system, and it shouldn't cause any sort of condition where you got to tear something out or redo anything. The third item is a unique feature we've added to the ballroom level. This is a sound smart bar, and it has power and the ability to hang theatrical lights to these bars, and you can see the multiple locations in the space. We've designed for this item. It allows stages to be set in different pieces of the ballroom, which is what you can see on the left. And it basically eliminates the need for someone to have to bring in lighting and sound trees, as they call it, that have different rigging and things. It's all now will be built into place, and they can just plug and play and be right in. It's a really cool feature that we think will set this ballroom apart from others. But our operator has voiced the concern that it's a really cool feature, but may not get used as much as we think. And really, they just don't know. They hadn't ever seen it done, and so they're like, this could be really neat, but we're not sure it would get used all the time. So we said, let's put it as an alternate and see if we can get it. The fourth item is the central plant equipment. The central plant is, you see the plans on the left, is located in the northeast corner of our building, over by the loading dock. One of a late change in the last couple weeks, through a large study with the MAPS team, the city, and with Veolia, we've done a lot of back and forth and discussions and studies on what it would cost if Veolia would provide cold and hot services to the building rather than us providing it through our own chillers and boilers in the plant. Since the use of that study and everything, we've decided to let the base bid of the project be Veolia would serve the building, and the alternate would be that we could provide the equipment for this. What this means is on day one, this space that we've designed will be built as it is, structure, walls, everything, but would be a pretty empty space, and Veolia would only have the minor equipment they would have in that space. This is great on two things. One, it provides extra storage for our building. The operator is going to love the ability to have some extra storage in the space back here near the loading dock. And two, it gives the city the ability to, at any time, should they decide and want to go a different route, they can always bring this equipment back in. It's already designed to hold all that equipment. All the room is there. There won't be any redo of having to tear out walls or rebuild a bigger plant or anything. It's all been designed for that. So whether it goes either way at bid time, we can we feel we can get either option at this time. It just gives us some additional flexibility for our building at this time. The fifth alternate is the surface parking lot, which we've talked about the building expanding someday, and this is what would be built in place until that time. That also includes the extension of Broadway from 6th to 7th. This was one of the items that DDRC asked us to add some additional things to. They wanted some sidewalks to go around the entire surface parking lot and some internal pedestrian ways be added to this. Again, once we update the drawings, we'll send that to them, and hopefully staff review will pass it on as approved. Alternate 6 is the enhancements to 6th Street. We decided to break this out of the parking lot alternate just for the ability, who knows how numbers would come in, that maybe we would fix 6th Street and not something else, or vice versa. So just to have a little bit more flexibility on the pieces. Again, you can see these aren't extremely large or costly alternates. And then the enhancements to 4th Street. This is taking our current plaza that we have up to the curb on our side and carrying it across the street and redoing 4th Street to help make it a little bit more of a pedestrian-friendly environment. That's enhanced pavers, that's more trees, that's reduced curbs, that kind of thing. We obviously are working with the hotel team and trying to let them catch up, but see what this design currently, how it affects whatever they may have on the south side of their building, whether they're going to have a restaurant or stores or something along that side. We're not sure, and I'm not sure they're ready to say, but we'll work with them when that time comes. And then alternate 8 is the pedestrian bridge to the hotel, very similar to the 4th Street. We've got a design that works on our side. We need to work with the hotel team on how it can get received on their side. We're continuing to draw what you see here. We're getting as much feedback as we can from them, and we'll issue this as an alternate to get priced with all the other pieces of the project. So next steps, we're going to finish picking up all remaining comments from the city and our consultant teams and get those into the final plans. We need to finish or continue to get approvals on things. Now that we have DDRC complete, we need to go to the Board of Adjustment and get our variances done and get permits and other things ready to get issued once our drawings are there. Then we need to come back in front of our subcommittee and you guys to present our final plans, and we hope to do that here very soon. Then hopefully go to council, and then after that we can go out to bid. Any questions?
I have a question. Are the alternates prioritized?
They are not, and I think they would be prioritized by our subcommittee, or with our subcommittee and city's help on what they feel is more important or things that they want to get. Obviously, as the design team, we would have probably some preferences too, but for now we want to see where the bids come in and see which ones we could take.
Michael?
If we don't do the parking lot to the south, what happens to that? Is that just dirt, or are we going to at least sod it or do something with it if we don't do the parking lot?
If we, as in the convention center team, can't afford it, I trust the city would look at other ways to try and get something there. I'm sure they don't want a big dirt field or grass lot there. And there's other projects I think that would also want it to be a parking lot at least at day one.
Other questions for Kevin? Great progress, Kevin. Thank you for
Thank
being
you,
here.
everyone.
Randy, thank you for coming. All right, then. Let's move to item 5, David.
Item 5 is recommend resolution approving change order number 2, MAPS 3 Convention Center Demolition Package 3, a decrease of $5,315 and accepting the project M3-C008. This is the demo package that we did. If you recall, we found some underground storage tanks. And when we found those tanks out there in the ground, we found 2 fill locations, and that usually indicates 2 tanks, but it turns out that 1 tank had 2 fill locations, so there was only 1 tank. So they are giving us a credit for not removing that second tank, and then, as it says, is accepting the project is completed. This comes with the approval from the subcommittee.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution. Are there questions, or is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is adopted. Thank you. Item 6, David.
Item 6 is recommend resolution approving change order number 8 and amendment number 10, MAPS 3 Trail Improvements, Phase 2 Project I-44 West, Will Rogers Trail, increase of $36,257, project M3-T002A. Subcommittee saw an update on the construction progress of this week, and progress is going well. There are several items on here that are pretty common for projects that are underway. There's a time extension of 10 calendar days at no cost, and that's because we had an unusual August where we had about 2 weeks worth of rain and slowed them down, and that exceeded the amount that was in the contract for expected weather. As far as the amendments, remember, are items that already had pricing in the contract, but it just exceeded quantities or decreases. So we had retaining wall, we had a manhole adjustment, there's some traffic signal wire replacement, there's some pull boxes, which are the boxes where the traffic signal wire goes to and they make the connections, and then there was concrete driveways. So this, as I said, is all things that you would expect to see in a project under construction. The subcommittee did not have a quorum, but those in attendance recommended this be approved.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is adopted. Item 7, David.
Item 7 is recommend resolution approving change order number 7 and amendment number 9, MAPS 3 Trail Improvements, Phase 2, Project 2, I-44 West, Will Rogers Trail, increase of $43,173.30, project M3-T002. Remember that the Will Rogers Trail is in 3 sections. So this is a second piece of that trail. Again, under construction, time extension of 10 days, and then quantity revisions very similar to what I just mentioned on the other piece. Driveway was the largest quantity revisions that had to be on that remove and replace driveway. There was also some curb inlets, some ADA curb ramp increase, concrete, asphalt, just general things. So again, there was not a quorum with that subcommittee, but those present recommended that we approve this.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. David, item 8.
Item 8 is the final plans, recommend resolution approving final plans and specifications to be advertised for bids, MAPS 3 Trail Improvements, Phase 3, Project 1, Lake Draper Trail, and authorize city clerk to advertise for bids to be received November 29, 2017, Project M3-T003. Much like the Will Rogers Trail, the Draper Trail is broken into 3 pieces. We have 2 of those plans here today. to advertise for final plans. We have Brett Cavness with Cavness Engineering here to give you an overview of what's included in his plans. So I'd like to invite him up.
All right. Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you, Kerry. Draper Trail, we're excited to come before the advisory committee today to approve final plans so we can go to bid and get another trail system that connects Tinker with the Lake Draper area. Just a quick overview, the Draper Trail in its totality will be just a little over 13.5 miles. Each project, the trail is split out into 3 different sections. Each section is roughly budgeted at about $3.4 million, and this trail system does follow the overall master plan that the city has provided. Looking at an aerial photography here with the map kind of outlined, you see the first project along the West Draper Drive on the west side of the lake where a lot of the existing development already is. Goes below the dam, picks up and goes along the east side, along East Draper Drive, and then connects the final piece along the northern side, which is where some of the subdivision development as well access to Interstate 240 ties back in. One point at the very northwest corner of the lake on Triad's Designs Group section, that is the connection to the existing Tinker Air Force Base trail that will connect to this point. So this is kind of the final piece of the connectivity of the trail system in southeast Oklahoma City. The typical trail section does follow the master plan. It's a 12-foot wide shared use trail. It's very similar to all the other trail systems in Oklahoma City. We have typically non-signalized street crossings through this area. It will be concrete through here, so it's a consistent path, a consistent surface for the pedestrians and the bicycle users for this as well, and it does follow the city standard. The first section is our section that we had the opportunity to design, was on the west side, as we mentioned earlier. Our length is a little shy of 5 miles. It has accessibility to the Draper Marina, where there is an existing parking lot that we may be able to use as shared for a trailhead location. It has 3 significant intersection crossings, one at 89th Street, one at 104th Street, and then down at Water Plant Road. And we'll show pictures of those here in just a second. But we also have some connectivity to the Cross Timbers area, multi-use area, as well as their parking lot. So we tried to incorporate some of the existing features with the trail design so we can piggyback off of those. In the narrow sections through here, and we kind of broke this down between the north, the central, and the southern sections of our trail. Again, connects at 89th Street, but we have some very good vistas and views of what the trail view will look like if you were standing on the trail. This is just south of 89th Street on what we can be able to see from the trail. It's the open spaces, but you also see the lake in the very far background of this. As we continue a little bit farther south, we get closer to a connection that makes, at the marina, we now take the trail off of the Lake Draper Drive and down a little closer to the shoreline. This was a great suggestion by the subcommittee to get a little bit closer to the water so we can see this. And we get as close as 25 feet to the existing shoreline in some areas through here. But you'll notice here we have several horizontal and vertical bends, turns left and right. But we did design those such that as the bicycle users won't have hairpin turns. These are wide radiuses so they can continue with their speed through those and won't have to slow down tremendously amount. But it also kind of gives the pedestrian users, and this photo is taken a little bit farther back off. The trail will actually be along the dirt road through here, so you can see how close we're going to be at the lake at this location. One of the other things that we are going to do, some of the existing dirt roads out there are going to be incorporated as the trail alignment. We're going to be able to fix some of these minor drainage issues. You see here erosion along the roadside. We will come back through there and soften those up with more mowable, maintainable slopes, sod those areas so the runoff won't get into the lake, which is predominantly a key for the Water Utilities Trust folks. As we head a little bit farther south, we do transition from the east side of Lake Draper Drive to the west side, just adjacent to the Cross Timbers aeriding area. And if we take a look at that, you'll notice some of the existing utility markers through there. There's 2 natural gas pipelines that has an easement through there. We are staying off of that, so we are not conflicting with their utility through here. But if you can imagine the trail will approximately be intertwined within the existing trees through this location. But the other thing that I probably want to highlight, as we cross Draper Drive, that is a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit roadway. We made sure to put provisions for the vehicular traffic, advance warning that there is a trail crossing coming up with normal signage that is the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control design. We also did that along the trail to warn the trail pedestrians and bike users, hey, you're getting ready to cross a street, so you may want to slow down a little bit. So we do have advanced warning on both the roadway as well as the trail where we do have the crossing at this location. It will not be signalized. As we move a little farther close to Water Plant Road, and this is the southern end of our segment through here, one of the major critical utility potential conflicts, we cross 2 of the large diameter water mains that come out of the water treatment facility. We've made sure that provisions are shown in our documents and the final plans to protect those so we do not have a water main break during construction. We're not so much worried about once the trail is installed, being used. It's more of the construction traffic working in close proximity to those water mains. We've made provisions in the contract documents to take care of that and alleviate those potential conflicts. But we also know that during this time, the trail that will be constructed, the water treatment plant is undergoing an expansion through here. So when we get through with the trail, we will be first. We'll make sure that this intersection is improved, that you see here, with concrete drives that will support construction traffic for the water treatment plant, as well as support the trail itself through there. And then as we go a little bit farther, this is the location you can see where the trail alignment, we're looking basically east where it starts to go below the dam. And it's some of the nicer areas, but the thing about it is we want the folks that are traveling along the dam road to look down upon the trail to see that it's a safe facility there. And if they're bicycle users up there, we want them to see that they have another alternative to go back on the trail system below the dam and get off of the roadway and the vehicular traffic. The construction cost estimate that we've looked at is 100% complete design. We started out with an initial budget of $3.4 million. As we went through the preliminary design and then the 60% conceptual design, we were basically still on budget at that point. Currently today, our budget estimate is a little over $3.4 million, roughly about $50,000 above what we estimated. However, we have a 6% contingency in our estimate right now that is just shy of $200,000. So if we were to take the estimate out, we're essentially at $3.27 million, which is under budget for this project. The anticipated schedule, barring approval and acceptance by the committee today, we're ready to advertise this project in November, take bids in December of this year, and then start construction right after the first of the year, weather permitting, and then complete with construction in the summer of 2018. This will dovetail along with Triad's portion as well, so we'll have quite a bit of the trail around the lake completed hopefully by the end of the summer next year. With that, be happy to take any questions.
Questions? I take it from what you say that the construction of the different projects will be going on at the same time,
Concurrently, yes.
concurrently. That's the word I was looking for.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Item 9, David.
Item 9 is recommend resolution approving final plans and specifications to be advertised for bids, MAPS 3 Trail Improvements, Phase 3, Project 3, Lake Draper Trail, and authorize city clerk to advertise for bids to be advertised November 29, 2017, Project M3-T003B. So this is the second of the 3 sections, and Robbie Williams is here from Triad Design Group to show you what his plans include.
Good morning. We will go through our project. We're actually phase project 3. I'm not going to reiterate a lot of the design elements that Mr. Cabanis just went through. All 3 engineering companies have worked together on details, and so we can all be consistent as we construct the project. So with that, we'll get started. Our project is approximately 4.5 miles. We begin just south of Stanley Draper Drive on Midwest Boulevard. We do have major street intersections that we will cross: Midwest Boulevard, Douglas, Post, Westminster, and 104th Street. Since our trail, we essentially parallel Midwest Boulevard and Stanley Draper Drive, our trail will be a minimum of 25 feet from the roadway for clear zone. That's a term if should a car leave the road within 25 feet, they should recover. We do have drainage structures that we will need to extend. So what we'll do is we'll bring the trail in closer to the road so we do not have to have a long drainage structure extension. But where we do that, we will install guardrail along the roadway for safety. And you'll see that in the pictures as we go. Again, each project budget is $3.4 million. Our current estimate is just under $3.3 million. The red line in the pictures is the location of where the trail will be. Again, this is where we will connect to Cabanis's trail on Midwest Boulevard, and we will go north. We will be clearing trees, but we are going to minimize the trees that we remove. Again, here's a drainage structure that we will extend and construct the trail on top of it. And this is the connection to the Tinker Draper Trail at the corner of Stanley Draper Drive and Midwest Boulevard. And then as we go along Stanley Draper Drive, the Water Trust just reconstructed this road. This road has a design speed limit of 25 miles an hour. However, if you drive out there, the public is driving a little bit faster. So we're still making sure we have the trail 25 feet from the road and for safety. Again, we have several small structures that we will be crossing. Here's another one. And then, although our trail is a little far from the lake, there are views where people will be able to see the lake, and this is an example of that. As you can see, when the Water Trust built Lake Stanley, the new Stanley Draper roadway, they did some bar ditch work and things like that, so we'll be able to take advantage of installing our trail south of that to take care of for drainage and be able to save some money. Again, here's another structure they constructed that we will extend. And then as we get more on the east side of Stanley Draper Drive, we get in a heavy wooded vegetative area, and we've been instructed to minimize tree removal. So as you can see here, they've cleared on some portions when they did the roadway where we will not have to remove any trees. However, as we get as we continue to go south, this is the unimproved Stanley Draper Drive. You can see that we will be removing trees to install the trail. And a similar picture. And then this is where we will end our project, and the other engineering firm, CEC, their project will begin here and connect to the Cabinets Trail. Again, our project schedule is to bid the project in November. We would like to start construction in January, and we believe we will be finished by the end of August of 2018. So with that, if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Questions? Thank you, Robbie.
All right, thank you.
Been moved and seconded. We approve this resolution. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Item 10, David.
Item 10 is recommend resolution approving amendment number 4, Maps 3, Phase 3, Project 1, sidewalk improvements, increase of $724.75, Project M3-W003. Again, project that's in construction, quantity adjustments of just $724. We require that we keep our bookkeeping done month to month, so this is very small, but I like to have all of our quantities resolved as they come up so that things don't drop through the cracks and we don't forget things. So again, this is a very small amendment, but it comes recommended from those that were in attendance at the subcommittee meeting.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this amendment. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Item 11.
Item 11 is recommend resolution approving change order number 1 and amendment number 1, Maps 3 Sidewalks Phase 4, Project 1 improvements, increase of $67,820, Project M3-W004. Again, project under construction. As far as the change order, there was some storm sewer hood replacements that were not anticipated in the bid, and then some pull box replacements also. That's $3,500 with both those together. And then, as we talked about today, quantity adjustments, $64,000 for those quantity adjustments. And the bulk of that is some aggregate base, which is crushed rock, and then remove and replace some lawn irrigation pipe that was unknown in there. But then there's several other items. There's curb, there's adjusting manholes, there's traffic stripe, asphalt paving removal, concrete removal, sidewalk, just various things.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Item 12, David.
Item 12 is recommend resolution approving change order number 9, Maps 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center number 2, the no increase project M3-H003. Again, just keeping our bookkeeping up to date. There was weather days that were required at the Wellness Center 2. It's going well, but because of the unseasonable rain that we received in August, we would like to grant them an additional 15 days at no cost to the project. And this comes with the recommendation from the subcommittee.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. David, item 13.
Item 13 is recommend joint resolution approving lease and management agreement between the City of Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma City Public Property Authority, and North Oklahoma County Mental Health Center, Incorporated, doing business as North Care. MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center Number 2 operating partner, project M3-H003A. You have, it was handed out to you, the resolution, a copy of the resolution that didn't make it into your packet, so I apologize for that, but you had that with you. But this is the contract for North Care to operate the second wellness center. It's very similar to what we had for the first wellness center, and as you recall, we have a binding term sheet in place. So it's not like we've been operating without agreeing to what they will do. This is the formal agreement for that operations of the wellness center, and this comes with the approval from the subcommittee.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is adopted. Before we move on, Michael Dover, I've got a question for you about that. We're reading a lot about the impact of the state budget on North Care. We've seen our... Yes, we've seen our friend Randy appearing on TV talking about the impact it's going to have. What's your assessment of what this could...
Well, when Randy and I had talked about that, he assured me that that funding was for specific programs that I'm not concerned about, obviously, but that he doesn't see an impact regarding the operations level.
Great. Okay. Next item, David.
Next item is item 14, recommend joint resolution accepting MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center Number 2 West Parking Lot and placing the maintenance bond into effect, project M3-H003B. This is the parking lot that we built west of the Wellness Center. It's not the Wellness Center parking lot itself, but it is the one that joins the tennis center and was replacement for the school. It is complete. They did a great job on that. I'm very happy with how that turned out. So we recommend accepting this project as final, and it comes with a recommendation from the subcommittee.
Moved and seconded that we approve this resolution. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is adopted. David, item 15.
Item 15 is recommend resolution approving change order number 4 and amendment number 3, MAPS 3 Modern Streetcar Mainline, increase of $203,980.14, project M3-S007. As you've probably seen, and we've given some updates, but the streetcar construction is well underway. We've got a lot going on between the maintenance facility and what's coming up Hudson, and then all the mainline activity. A lot of what it goes on in Bricktown has been completed. They still have to have the poles stood up, but as far as the track installation in the ground, a lot of that is done. You've seen some of it in the Central Business District. Now, I don't know how many of you have gotten up near the hospital, but there's a lot of construction going on up there in that area. So we have a lot of construction going on with that. So with that, we have various things that come up for the streetcar. So we have the change order number 4, which is some track grade adjustments over the canal bridge. That's the bridge down in Bricktown that goes over the canal. There had to be some adjustments made on how that slab went over it, and because of ADA requirements and rail heights and things like that, and concrete mix designs, it's been a very involved process. But so we have an alternate installation, and concrete sidewalk overlay was specified to resolve those issues on that bridge. So $21,596. Additional slip dowels. If you go by and see the construction, you'll see those steel dowels that are laying in the pavement, and then they're also drilled and inserted into the pavement. That's to keep the pavement from settling at different rates, but it also helps with cracking and working with Public Works and making sure that we didn't get cracking that was outside of those intended joints within the Project 180 areas, we had to add some dowels. Then there was some trench modification because of electrical code that we had to deal with in certain areas. Again, sprinklers were found in some grass areas where we were replacing curb and had to do some grade changes. Item 5, the crossspan hanger credit of $4,253, that has to do with at the maintenance facility of how they were doing the hangers that hold the catenary wire that has the electrical charge. So there was a change which resulted in a credit, but then you'll also see an increase in the amendment part. Some temporary traffic signal that had to be done at Joe Carter and Reno to maintain traffic in that area, some curb and gutter modifications. Then moving on to amendment section of the document here, some additional train to wayside equipment, some antennas and things like that as we get into actually implementing these things and get them in real life situations in the field, we have to make sure that these things work, and so had to be some additions on that. And then some more slip dowels, a different size. These are number 5s as opposed to the number 4s, I believe. Some additional subgrade that was required, additional high voltage warning signs on the catenary poles that will go up, and then the crossspan hangers. As I mentioned, we have a credit for changing part of that system out, but instead of attaching through the ceiling through that and putting holes in the new panels, we decided it was a better option to put span wires across from column to column like you see down Hudson, which isn't unusual, but it's not something we'll have throughout our system. But in that area, we think that that's the best way to handle that. So that's the summary of the amendment and change order. This was discussed in the subcommittee yesterday and comes with their recommendation.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution for the change order and amendment number 3. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. David, item 16.
Item 16 is recommend joint resolution approving change order number 5 and amendment number 7, MAPS 3 Hudson Avenue street improvements, increase of $24,123, project M3-P0048/PC-0479/WC-0895. So this is the project that we shared with the streetcar and the park and with Public Works and their bond funds. So we had a piece of the paving that extended at 7th Street going west and tied into the existing paving. And as we get out there and notice that there's only about, I believe it's 36 feet, something like that, between what ODOT did when they did Walker and the bridge and I-40, and they came around 7th Street and they stopped at a point, and then we were stopping at a point, and there was this gap of old beat-up asphalt paving, and we were going to have concrete paving on both sides. So this is to replace that piece of asphalt paving with new concrete and make it all look uniform through there. It is shared between the streetcar and the park projects. So this comes with the recommendation from both of those subcommittees.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. Item 17, David.
Item 17 is recommend joint resolution approving change order number 1 and amendment number 1, MAPS 3 Upper Park, increase of $160,813.63, project M3-P006/WC-0920. Well under construction with the park, received an update this month to the subcommittee. All the work that's done out there right now is either dirt work, excavation, embankment, those kind of operations, or storm drain improvements, or some very early stages of utilities. So with that in mind, there is a time extension, again, related to the rain that I've talked about before, 7 additional days out there. Some changes for OG&E service points, additional conduits that had to be run to meet the requirements from OG&E where they place these service points. Then there were some outfall pipe revisions. If you recall, we're taking advantage of a grant that's going through planning from a brownfields grant to do the liner in the pond as a separate project. So in order to make sure that that stays watertight, now that we have the details on that pond liner, every place that the storm sewer empties into the pond, we need to make sure that it is watertight. And I believe there was 8 different places in there. So this is to change the way that those pipes enter the pond. Remember that the entire pond the entire park drains into that pond so that we can conserve water and we can do irrigation from that pond. So there's $108,567 in 8 locations for the detail. Or I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. It's $29,000 for that. The detail around the pipes. But then as we began excavation, we found over 40 different concrete piers that were there from previous construction. No matter what kind of investigation we did, you can't find piers that are 10 feet in the ground, and these piers are 36 inches in diameter. More than likely, they came from the post office that was there before, and when they did the demolition on that, they went 8-10 feet below ground, cut them off, and left them. Well, because we're digging a pond in that area, we found them, and we have to remove them. The good part is we anticipated finding things like that, and we have a price established at bid time with the project. So this price comes from a bid price, but unfortunately there were about 40 of these things, so it's $108,000 to remove these piers. So this comes with the recommendation from the Park Subcommittee.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this item. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. David, item 18.
Item 18.
You doing okay?
I am. Catching my breath here. Item 18 is recommend resolution extending time to award contract MAPS 3 Lower Park Demolition Package 1, awarding contract to M&M Wrecking Incorporated in the amount of $62,687, and approving contract and bonds project M3-P014. This is obviously the first package of demolition that we've done, but we're starting to remove some of the structures in the lower park. And the extending time is just because of state law and time to award contracts. So we have to state that in the document. But this is for approximately 1 block there in the lower park. So this comes with a recommendation from the subcommittee.
David?
Yes, sir.
If I read this correctly, there was 3 bids and 2 of them were invalid, so we effectively only have 1 bid.
That's right. We received 3 of the bids, and 2 of the bidders did not include their bid bond as they were supposed to. We thought about rebidding it, but probably what will happen is the bidders won't bid it again. And we think we have a price.
Yeah, or raise their bid closer to the one that...
Well, typically they just won't, because they know, or they anticipate the other one playing games and getting a little below them, and they feel like that's where they need to be as far as low bid. So rather than rebidding it, we chose to go ahead and award it with M&M Wrecking, who in good faith bid it as they saw.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is adopted. Item 19.
Item 19 is recommend joint resolution approving change order number 20, MAPS 3, Oklahoma River Phase 3 Whitewater Facility, increase of $50,384.45, project M3-R004/WC-0817/SC 2021-0912. This is a case where we are wrapping up the whitewater facility out there. There was still some contingency money, and as the boathouse had completed their second season, there's still some operational things that need to be taken care of, and this is our effort to wrap this up. This should be our last change order, although we had partially accepted the project. So going through the items quickly, if you remember, we did a change order previously for a canopy on the doors on the main building because we were having water leaks. As we went through that, we found that there were some things that we could do, or the contractor could do, that wasn't done, like some extra sealing and tightening this and that for the water penetration. They still have minor water penetration. If the wind is blowing really hard from the east, it'll blow up underneath through the threshold, but it's not leaking like it was when it would just rain and run down the face of the building. It would get in there and get into the facility. So it was decided to remove that canopy because the canopy really detracts from the design of the building, and it just gave them more things to maintain out there. So we received a credit on that, and we believe that we have resolved the water leakage issues on the building. As far as the floor finish, I will tell you that item 2 has already been done because of safety concerns. We approved a change order probably a year ago to put a texture on that concrete floor in there in the retail and ticketing area, and then as it goes back towards the restaurant, to give some texture to that floor. As they were putting the texture down, the operator asked if we could extend it further back, and we did. So that item has been done, but it was $5,700. Channel modifications on the wall for $10,000. There's one area that the water, when they turn all the pumps on, will splash up and actually slosh out of the channel, and it gets into that area and it washes dirt out, and that's one of the ways that the water quality is deteriorating because of the dirt that's getting into the channel. So this will create a splash block, for lack of a better word, concrete area there so that the dirt will no longer wash in there, and they can clean that up and get the landscaping restored. There's some pump station grading supports that need to be revised to make them a little more robust and so that they can stand some of the removals. There's been some warranty work on the pumps, and that removal of the pumps has been much more than what was ever anticipated, and with that there's been some wear and tear on this structure. So this is to better beef that up so that they won't have those problems in the future. Then the pump station ozone room and the HVAC modification, which is item number 5. The ozone is what does the disinfection, or the main part of the disinfection system of the system, and that ozone generator needs a compressor. And we were trying to deal with the heat that was in that pump room. In August, the heat was almost unbearable in that room, and we found that compressor was putting off about 185-degree air on the head of the motor on that. So we come up with a plan to move that compressor outside so that it gets it outside so that the heat would be dissipated to the exterior, build a shed roof to protect it. That also helps with some of the noise that's in that pump room also. And then there's some landscape replacements based on some of that splash out that we were seeing. It damaged some of the plants in that area, and that's to fix that in some other areas. And then additional pool chemicals. We continue to work with the Boathouse Foundation to help them with the water quality at the facility. It was much better this year, but as we went through the year, we've got so much dirt to the north that blows in, and then this splash in, and just general runoff into the pool that it continues to get dirtier than what we'd hoped. So this is a chemical that helps to coagulate the small particles together and help them be able to be filtered through the system. Once we can determine that that is an appropriate method, then the boathouse will obviously take on that responsibility. But this is our effort to help them understand how to approve that or improve that. So that's all I have. That was a lot for that, but this comes from the recommendation from the subcommittee.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this change order. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It's adopted. New business, item 20.
We don't have anything else?
I don't know if this is the appropriate time to kind of have a thought to share. Should I do that under subcommittee reports, although it has more to do than wellness subcommittee?
Under new business, be fine. Go right ahead.
Okay. Well, what my thought is, as we're winding down all of our projects, and the good news is that some of them apparently may wind up with the surplus within their contingency, and particularly for those, in fact, for those projects that may have received additional funding from the MAPS contingency, not the program contingency, I think we should give consideration to really looking carefully at how they propose to use those dollars. It seems to me that, again, everyone gave their best guess as to how additional funds would be used and why they were needed. But again, if there's money at the end, I think rather than I would imagine the tendency is for all subcommittees to want to spend that money. And I'm just asking that we give careful consideration to looking at how they act, how they would like to use those money, particularly if some may perceive it as bells and whistles, and rather than using those automatically thinking that those committees or projects are entitled to that money, that we really have a chance to kind of review that. Just that was a thought that I had.
Anyone else? Good idea. I think obviously any of the excess money, we'll have an opportunity to review whatever is recommended for it, and we'll get a chance to hear what they are and a chance to decide on it. I think, won't we, David?
Yes, sir.
And then move it along to the council. Any subcommittees then have anything additional they want to add?
I just had a question, I guess, for David. We had reports on the Draper Trail for 2 of the projects, not from the second. Is it on schedule, or we still think they're all going to be constructed by next summer?
Yeah, there was some changes that were a little more extensive than the others, but we've always planned on bidding them at alternate times, which gives us opportunity for better bids from the contractors. So you'll see one bid one week and then the second one bid the next week or 2. So I plan on bringing the third piece next month. That was my agreement with the engineer. We could have hurried along and got stuff put together, but I thought it was better for them to take the time, make sure everything was right, and then bid it next month.
I was just curious if there was any issue there.
No, but it'll all be built pretty much as we learned concurrently today.
There was one thing I wanted to mention from the Convention Center subcommittee, since we have the advantage of having Kevin here and having Mike Mize here. We've always been very interested in making sure that we didn't get a big surprise at the end when the bids came in. We'll all recall what happened on the Whitewater facility, and the scope of the Convention Center is larger, and so they have really done a great job of putting in place a way to think about ensuring to the best we can. And you heard Kevin say that there's a contingency and that he feels comfortable about where we're headed. I wanted all of you to know that there is a process in place where Populous has some estimators looking at this as we go along, telling them where they think we are in this process. In addition to that, independent of that, ADG is doing the same thing. And so we have, as a subcommittee, have been given a lot of comfort from the fact that this process is in place. And I wanted to give both Mike and Kevin an opportunity to comment to all of you how they think that specific piece of it is going.
So, yeah, thank you. The design team has our own estimator, RLB, who we use on multiple projects all over the projects we do. They've been with us from day one, so they've been estimating our project from concept design to schematics through preliminary report. So they've been involved and they're really familiar with the drawings. But at the same time, ADG, as you said, has an independent estimator as well when they've reviewed the drawings. And Mike can share where their estimator was.
Yeah, we frequently in this process do reviews of the architects or engineers' estimates. In this case, because of the nature and scope of this project, with the consent of the MAPS office, we created a separate cost estimate. We are not doing really a review of what they do. When we get done with our independent cost estimate, we sit down with Populus's cost estimators and reconcile those two cost estimates. Right now, those two cost estimates are very, very close to each other. But, you know, as Tom said, we're doing the best that we can. And the fact of the matter is we know what the conditions are today. When we put this out to bid, we right now are pretty hopeful that there will be a lot of competition. We've heard from a lot of contractors that they have a strong interest in this. But there are a number of issues that could come up, and frankly, the only way to really know is on bid day. And while we are as confident as we can right now, there's always the possibility of a surprise. But right now, I think we both feel pretty comfortable that we are within budget. We both are carrying contingencies. Just as a general matter of course, we carry a contingency in those cost estimates. And we're also both carrying some contingency for the impacts from Hurricanes Harvey and Irma, which we know are going to have an impact on things like drywall, glass, steel, and some other commodities. So we're as comfortable as we can be right now.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I just wanted all of you to hear what they've been telling the subcommittee, because we've taken a lot of comfort in this process that's been created to at least give us the best chance that we can to make sure there are no surprises. I understand no guarantees, but still in all, we're feeling good about where we are now. Thank you all. Appreciate you doing that.
Thank you.
Any other subcommittee report? Okay, let's move to item 22, informational items. David, we've all had a chance to look at that. Any other comments you want to make about it?
No, sir. It's just a settlement for some land for the convention center.
Any questions about that? All right, let's move to David's summary then at item 23.
I don't have a whole lot to add. We talked about every project with the exception of Fairgrounds, and the punch list on that continues, getting very close to wrapping that up. One thing I do want to mention is that the next 2 months' meetings will be earlier than usual. So next month's meeting will be on the 16th, and then December will be on the 21st. And that's because of the holidays. So that's all I have.
Any questions for David? All right, then. That moves us to item 24 on the agenda. Is there any comments, other comments by board members, staff? Are there any citizens? I'm sorry? Are there any staff members here, any citizens here that want to make a comment today? If not, we're ready for... It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We're adjourned. Thanks for coming.